Hello, I'm Anthony Friat, Program Manager for the Bachelor of Interior Design Honours here at RMIT University. Welcome and thank you for your time. Today I'm going to introduce you to some of the aspects of the program, what it's like to study here, how we think about interiors, how you'll be learning, some of the facilities that you'll have available to you during your time here at RMIT. I'll also introduce you to the Masters of Interior Design and also briefly talk about how to apply and how to put a folio together. Before I get started, I would just like to acknowledge the Kulin Nations as the traditional custodians on the land on which the university stands. And the university respectfully recognises elders both past and present. The Interior Design program is part of the School of Architecture and Urban Design. There's 3 disciplines within the school: interior design, architecture and landscape architecture. And all of us are located within the extraordinary Design Hub, a purpose-built building right in the heart of the city. This is where you'll have all of your lessons, your lectures, your workshops, and it also is a building that you can access 24/7. So it's a place that you can come and work alongside your peers, access things like the computer labs, do some self-directed making in the workshops. It's also a place that has things like exhibitions and talks and lectures. So it's a real kind of cultural hub for the school. You're looking here at some of the facilities that are located within the building. So this workshop, which is in the basement, has an extraordinary kind of array of equipment, right from robots right through to the simplest of hand tools. And it really allows you to sort of grasp the connection between the analog and the digital, understand materials, ways of making, how things go together. The program itself really positions itself as an ideas-led program. We concern ourselves with the spatial temporal relations between people and our surrounding environments. And ultimately, our agenda is to challenge the accepted assumptions about interior design and encourage you as a student to test those ideas through the act of making through design projects. So we talk about the interior design in an expansive way, which really means that interiors don't need to be confined to the inside of buildings. They can be, but they don't always have to be. And they can range from the intimacy of a finely crafted object and your relationship to that, right through to the broad ranging expanse of an urban city. As a student here, we'll really be encouraging you to develop sort of sensitivity and sensibilities in order to imagine, project and produce the experiential and the phenomenal qualities of interiors and how they exist and how they're produced. You can see some of the work here from one of our graduates, Xiaowei Liu, and here she's doing some tests in the park. She's thinking about the relationships between people. That's beginning to then get developed into process work before you then get to this kind of more resolved memorial space that she develops as part of her major project. The underlying philosophy of how we teach here at RMIT is to be industry engaged and student centered. So what that means is that you'll be taught by practicing designers. All visiting lecturers and all academic lecturers are practicing designers in themselves. They're all connected to industry or their own practices. And it's kind of a vital part of the culture here at RMIT in terms of how we connect our program to industry and ensure that it's relevant and critical. Another key aspect is that we will place you at the center of your own learning experience. And so what that means is that you get to make choices through the program, decide the kinds of courses that you would like to take, but also when you're within those courses, to approach to the questions of those courses in your own particular way with a critical understanding or developing a critical understanding of the key questions of the studios and the classes that you'll be taking. Very much it's about hands-on making, designing. A key part of the student-centered studio culture is this idea of a presentation. You pin your work up, you review it amongst your peers and your tutors, and you get feedback and you develop ideas in response to that feedback. Another key aspect of the program is how we use the city as a laboratory. And so really what that means is that we're encouraging you to get out to sites, to locations, and to explore your thinking in context. And that's a really great part of being in the city, and also one of the key reasons why we do things like field trips and site visits, in order to actually place you into context. Another great thing about the program is that we have a Student Interior Design Association, and really what that means is that as a group of students, you sort of self-organise, and you organising a whole load of social events and exhibitions across the year. And so this allows the program to be a very kind of social and fertile place for you to study, because you're constantly engaged with your peers, networking with your peers, looking at their work, listening to their stories. So it's not a course where you'll just be dropping in and out, visiting the odd lecture and then going home to study. It's very much about being connected to a network of fellow students that will be with you hopefully for the rest of your life. So the first year of study, there's 4 years of study within the Bachelor of Interior Design, and I'll walk you through those, and then I'll show you a program map towards the end of the presentation in terms of how they all then connect together. So the first year really is an introduction to interior design, and also as a way to sort of get you up thinking and operating as a designer in this first year. So we'll introduce you to a kind of broad range of social skills. We spend a lot of time developing the kind of the sociability of the group. You'll be studying as a large group, and so here you can see some first years on their first day of their first semester. They've built this thing together, they've made friends, they've learned about what they can and can't do, but importantly, they're just working together as a group, and that's a key aspect of the first year of study here at RMIT. The study is primarily conducted through things like projects, discussions, critiques, readings, lectures, but also this kind of idea of really sort of blowing apart your understanding of interior design and attempting to rebuild an understanding, a more critical understanding of what these interior relationships can be. And so here you can see students that are actually attempting to think about this relation between ourselves, our phones, and the virtual environments that are so prevalent within our society now. We think about body relations. We get you to start modelling in digital environments. We encourage you to have dinners together. All of this is really to just build your skills, your critical understanding as an interior designer, and prepare you for the rest of the 3 years at interior design here at RMIT. So by the time you get to the end of the first semester, second semester of interior design, you'll already be up and operating. You'll be able to draw interiors, render interiors, make objects, think about different ways that an interior may exist. And all of this comes with no expectation that you're coming into the program with any of these skills, but that you'll learn them in this really intensive first year of study here at RMIT. Another key aspect to the course, as well as the studios that run every semester, and which was what you were just looking at, are some of the core courses that run alongside those studios. Communications is one of those. There's 3 communication courses that you'll have over 2 years. And these expose you to a variety of different techniques, ways of communicating your interior ideas and experiences. And so you'll be working with digital software in order to collage, hand drawing, and also material making. Very much interested in developing, again, this relationship between the handmade and the digital. And so the workshops allow you to test these materials out through the act of making. And then another key aspect that we're really trying to develop in the early part of the course is this idea of a multimedia confidence. And so we'll introduce you to software such as Rhino, teach you how to digitally model in an environment, how to collage, how to use watercolor and your drawing skills and bring those into a software environment and bring them together with drawings that you might be making in a digital environment, such as AutoCAD, Rhino, Revit, which are all sort of industry standards for how you might draw and communicate within practice. We're also really encouraging you to test across scales, and again, this idea of very intimate objects right through to prototyping for objects that may exist at a one-to-one scale in sight. Technology is another part of the course that's one of the core subject areas. And again, there's 3 subjects or 3 courses for technology. And so again, what we're trying to do here is introduce you to the ways of thinking about technologies, introduce you to the industry standards in terms of ways of drawing, how to communicate both in 2D and 3D, and also beginning to connect you up to the prevailing technologies that are beginning to emerge, such as virtual realities and 3D, 4D prototyping. And I guess ultimately trying to embed that kind of way of thinking critically into your own design practice. So technologies is not so much a way of just resolving design, but is kind of embedded into the way of design thinking from the get-go. For example, here we're looking at how contemporary technologies might be understood as an additional surface that you can consider within an interior environment. So this is a first year project that you're looking at here. So these students have actually developed a way of using sensors and using that to augment a gallery environment. And so I show you this to just give you some confidence in terms of some of the skills that you'll be learning and some of the interesting technologies that you're being asked to consider and to use through the program. History theory is the third core subject that you'll be studying through the program. And again, there's 3 subjects that you'll take over the first 2 to 3 years of study. So we teach history theory through the program, not just in a linear way, but also we teach this idea that history theory is something that's active and always in production. And so in that way, we're really teaching you how to use history and theory of design in order to integrate that into your practice in a critical way. And we think that allows you as a practitioner to really sort of engage with the world in a far more critical manner than just learning techniques and skills and applying them to problems. A big part of history theory is not just writing essays, but also about this idea of publication. And so it's feeding into how your presentation skills are developing as a designer. And so you can see here some publications that some of our students put together as part of their history theory subjects. And this very much feeds into one of the key things that you're asked to produce in your 4th and final year of study here, where you're actually asked to put all of your major project work into a research book. So once you've moved through first year studios, you'll enter into the 2nd and 3rd year design studios. And these are really kind of the heart of the program and is a place that you actually get to choose your studios. So at the beginning of every semester, we ballot, ask the students to ballot for their studio choices. We give you a choice of approximately 12 studios per semester, each of them different, each of them led by an industry practitioner or an academic, and each of them asking a different question. And then you, over the course of the semester, as a small group of about 20 students, week on week, producing design, asking critical questions, will begin to develop an understanding of the questions, the ideas being explored in the studio, and then in response, designing a project as a culmination of that studio over the semester. I'll show you briefly some of those studios. So here we have a studio called Bound that's engaging with the idea of what a public library may be and really questioning it as a place of books and more as a kind of a community resource. This particular studio getting here was focused on the Westfield Shopping Centre out in Doncaster, and again, really beginning to challenge the typology of a shopping mall and what it may be, thinking about how hybridization might be used as a strategy to bring together retail, food, and entertainment experiences into the one retail environment. And then another example here is one that was very much looking at the community centre as a place to actually kind of socially connect and engage. Another key aspect of the program is this idea of global mobility. So through the program, you'll have the opportunity to travel, to go on exchange, to do industry placements overseas. Most of these happen in your third year, and we have connections with some extraordinary universities around the world, such as Parsons, University of Westminster, Rysons in Toronto, TU in Berlin, to just name a few. So the travel studios are intensive studio experiences, and they may happen over a period of 2, 3, 4 weeks, sometimes in a break, sometimes partially during the semester. That's where you get to do a studio overseas and really kind of experience and test your way of interior thinking in a different urban context. And again, these studios can be in all kinds of locations. This particular one was in Berlin, but we've also recently travelled to Hong Kong and examined this idea of density and compression and how we may learn from that here in Australia. We also offer industry placements overseas, and so we have a series of relationships with different practices throughout the Asia region, and connect you up to have placements as part of your study in different cities through that Asia. Once you get into third and fourth years, you begin to undertake courses called specializations, interior design specializations. This is where you really begin to apply all of the things that you've learned within your studios, your technology, your communication and history theory, and begin to engage in very project-specific, practice-specific kinds of courses, very much sort of directed towards potential industry directions as you're beginning to get towards the end of the course. This particular one was looking at residential towers within the CBD and really beginning to rethink how they might engage with the city in terms of the ground plane and the facade. This particular one was very much concerned with making and with light, and so thinking about the role of light within interiors and how you might actually produce lights and prototype lights. This particular specialisation was engaged with the largest hotel group in the world, Accor. It was a design competition, thinking about how technology might get integrated into hotel spaces. These particular students actually were very successful in the competition and got to travel to Paris to present their ideas to that Accor group. We also direct these specialisations to other different types of practices. This particular one was very much socially engaged, thinking about the way that a charity may engage with its clients on a street context situation, and the interior design students were actually thinking about the interface that could be. Another part or opportunity that you have within the third year of your study is to actually do an industry placement within a practice, and so you'll be doing that for about a day a week. It's a competitive process. We've got a whole series of relationships with some amazing award-winning practices through Melbourne, and as part of that you get to kind of develop I suppose your experiences within a practice, test out your ideas, but also get credit for that placement as part of your degree. And then as we move into the fourth year, that really becomes a self-directed year. So all of the things that you've learned through the previous 3 years, you're then asked to actually pursue an individual research project, establish a question, build a design brief, and then to design that project in response to those ideas. And that takes place across the final 2 semesters of your study here at RMIT, in conjunction with a group of peers and indeed a tutor that supervises you throughout that. I'll show you briefly some of those major projects and their outcomes. This particular one by Emma was engaged with this idea of a community centre and actually how furniture can actually be a tool for connecting people within a site. Very different kind of major project, and I think this speaks to the diversity that we do encourage within the program, is this project by Bronwyn, which is really interested in ideas of site and installation art and thinking about how objects and people can become displaced and dysfunctional within those environments. Far more kind of pragmatic project that was pursued by one particular student, Russell, is really just thinking about how adaptive reuse can be a very crucial tool within a sustainable practice, thinking about how existing buildings can actually be adapted and reused and fitted out rather than simply demolished and rebuilt. The end of the year, we have the most amazing party. It's called Index. Interior design is renowned for having really great parties within the school. This particular exhibition has been running every year at a different location within the city for over 37 years. It's built by the students, for the students, and is an amazing way that we engage with industry every year, bringing together previous graduates, industry leaders, and our graduating students in the one space. It's a chance to celebrate what's happened over the 4 years, but also a chance to really kind of build important networks and connections for your future practice. This is the program map. I'll really quickly talk you through it, and hopefully that will help you understand some of the things that I've just shown you. Key aspect for each semester is that you are doing a double studio, studio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. So you'll be doing 1 studio per semester and then 2 additional core subjects, either a communication, a technology, or indeed a history theory subject per semester. You do 2 semesters per year, and over the 4 years, you'll do 8 studios in total, including your research project proposal and your research major project proposal in your 4th year. You'll also be doing several specialisations, which I've talked about, or indeed you have the opportunity to take other subjects from around the university. So if you want to integrate something that's business related or science related or a language kind of course within your study, you can do that. There's also a professional practice subject that we do in 4th year, and this is really allowing you to think about your own practice, the ethics of practice, the legalities of practice, and beginning to ready you for your future projections, directions as a practicing designer. So, selection. Obviously a key thing that you'll be interested to learn. The way that we do selection is through a selection task and a portfolio. So typically you submit the selection task online through RMIT's website. You're invited then to come in for a portfolio review, an interview effectively with some members of the academic team. And in that, really it's a chance to have an informal conversation about the work that you're showing us, the way that you're thinking about the work, and some of your experiences and things that you've done both at school and within your life. So the key things that we're looking for within that portfolio is a mix of creative work that you've done, drawings, sculpture, design media work, could be a video or a photograph. It certainly doesn't have to be any kind of interior design work. We're really just looking for an evidence that you have an aptitude towards creative work. We'd like that folio to be laid out, to have titles, short descriptions of the work. We'd like to see some examples of hand drawing. as well as things like photographs and digital work. And also critically evidence of how those ideas and concepts were developed. So not just bringing in the final work, but showing us some of that process work. And importantly, being able to talk about why that work is important to you and why you made some of the decisions that you did. We don't need to see lots and lots and lots of work. Approximately 10 pieces of work with some process work, perhaps a sketchbook, is sufficient for us to be able to evaluate where you're at and to be able to give you feedback on your work and to make decisions about whether or not you would be suitable for the program. It's also a place where you get the opportunity to ask questions, ask more what happens within the program, and to learn about the process itself. The key thing here is that you should go to this link, Study with Us, Architecture Interior Design. Click on that link. It has really detailed information about how to apply. It outlines the different routes that you can come in depending on your previous experience, and it has ways for you to actually click on and apply to us an interior design. I'll briefly talk about the Master of Interior Design. So the Master of Interior Design is a 2-year course. It's really kind of building on ways of thinking within the interior design discipline here at RMIT, and is directed at a very much an industry partnered project-based learning experience, very much beginning to unpack the social, political, critical issues of projects and where they're situated, and beginning to develop a sort of detailed and sophisticated response to those situations, as well as developing advanced skills for you as a designer, interior designer, through practice-based core courses. There's also an opportunity to take a series of electives through the Masters, so you get the opportunity again to study different complementary subjects from around the university. For those that are actually graduating out of the Bachelor of Interior Design honours here at RMIT, you will receive 1 year of credit if you have a GPA of 2.5 or above, which effectively means that you can complete the Masters of Interior Design in 1 year if that's something you're interested in doing. And so it effectively becomes like a 4+1 model for those that have moved through both programs. And here you can see that structure of the Masters. Again, very similar to the undergrad in that it has a studio as the core subject, this being the industry partner studio, practice subjects, and then either a research strategies or a portfolio or a university elective that sits alongside those. So what do our graduates do? They really do go into a diverse range of different types of interior design practice, and I think that's a reflection of the way that we teach here at RMIT. Predominantly, most of our students do go into commercial practice, residential practice, architectural, interior design practices, but also many go into things like event design, exhibition design, become lighting designers, even increasingly going into things like virtual realities and gaming design. We have a number of successful students that have made careers in film and television production, as well as furniture design and theatre. Even students that have pursued design publishing as a career post their degree. And so we've spent quite a bit of time engaging with our alumni. We have very active networks with our alumni, and so we know what our students are doing, and we know that they're successful in a diverse range of different types of design careers. Lastly, I'd like to thank you for your time, and also just to point out that there is detailed information here about the program, including how to apply and how to look at the structure of the program. There's also a huge range of student work that you can see at this website, And of course, we're on Instagram if you'd like to look at some more student work and just get an insight to the culture of studying here, interior design at RMIT University. Thank you.